Well, boys, another week, another update on Killing Floor 3. Now, if you don't know, Killing Floor 3 is set to release next month, July 24th, of recording this video, 2025. And I have nothing but excitement for this game. Now, for those who have been watching my videos and maybe seen it on the YouTube algorithm, I've been breaking down pretty much every single trailer Killing Floor 3 has launched, every single update since the beta for Killing Floor 3, and I've been head diving down into the depths of the Killing Floor community just to see what everyone's thoughts and opinions are on all the things Killing Floor, the HUD, the UI, characters being separated from perks. I know all the hot topics and debates amongst the community, and I am happy to see Killing Floor 3 come so far from what the beta was. The beta had its problems, and I have a review of my beta. I was very in-depth with my review in the beta, and in the beta, the whole point was basically the game can cook, it has problems, and I'm excited for the game to come out. And that is still the case. The game is looking so much better in these past 2 months. In 2 months, they've been able to overhaul the HUD, add motion cap to some of the enemies. I believe it's mainly the trash mobs, so I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of mocap for perhaps the flesh pound, but I could be wrong. But so far, I haven't really seen any of that. And everything is just a big fat W from Tripwire since then. The gore system looks like they're improving it a little bit. The Z time, they added the noise, that classic Killing Floor 2 vibe noise. Hits like crack every time I hear that noise. Even though I haven't played the most of Killing Floor 2, I did play over 100 hours, which is a significant amount in any game, in my personal opinion. Obviously not crazy numbers, but if you play 100 hours of any game, you, in my opinion, have a valid opinion of whatever it was in the game that you liked and disliked. I do think Killing Floor 3 is an upgrade from 2, from everything we're seeing. Of course, we got to get our hands on it. Of course, this could all go wrong if this is a Cyberpunk launch. However, I don't see that happening. It's very possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. I do think the launch is going to have problems. There's probably going to be connection issues, multiplayer problems, UI glitches, enemy bugs, stuff like that, which they should be fixed, and they should be prioritized over everything. Playable game is obviously better than adding just more shit to the game and not fixing problems. But from what we've seen from Tripwire and what they've talked about, and yes, it is a lot of talk, and so far, we've seen a little bit of action in working on the final product of 1.0 of Killing Floor 3, but there's a lot of talk that they're going to be updating the game significantly by adding enemies, bosses, weapons, going in-depth. Everything can be updated, I believe, is the advertisement for Killing Floor 3. So I do hope that no matter what happens, if a large portion of the community does not like said system, said enemy design, said whatever, it does get changed. Now, there are obviously cases where, like, you know, if people want Imran the engineer to be flat out removed, I think obviously that's, like, not very valid. I'm talking more like, this weapon sucks, needs to be buffed, you know, and the devs go ahead and buff it. Stuff like that. I want to see a lot more buffs. I want to see a lot less nerfs, which is a track record a lot of gaming companies these days like to do. Gaming companies these days like to do. They love to nerf things into the ground rather than buffing things and making things more fun. But I do think overall Killing Floor 3's livelihood will depend on how fast they add content, what sort of content we're getting. But overall, for it being only 2 months since that beta that we played, and maybe that was a super old beta test, maybe it was like a year ago or something like that in terms of the beta, it was only March that the beta, or that the game was set to release, but the beta itself, I believe, was set to, or released the month prior, and while I did have a fun time playing the beta, there was a lot of problems. My game did crash a few times, but I did enjoy the gameplay, and I was really liking the way the combat felt, so I'm really curious to see how the Killing Floor community is going to react to all these trailers. 1.0, or I should just say launch on July 24th. Really curious to see what happens. I did think that Killing Floor 3 was getting shit on an incredible amount compared to like other games and everything like that. that were coming out. And I think Killing Floor 3, yes, it did have problems, like, as far as the beta was concerned, but they've touched up a lot of those problems, and it's looking like we're only trending up for Killing Floor 3. But overall, I do think Killing Floor 3 is going to be fun to play. I think it'll be a great game. Contender for Game of the Year, boys. But I do want to say, I was 10 toes down day one supporting Killing Floor 3 as far as that beta is concerned, and as my knowledge on the game and when it came out and everything like that. I've been 10 toes down. This game has been fun. This game just needs to cook, and cooking is what Tripwire has done. I'm excited to see everything in play once I get my hands on the game. And yeah, I do think we need to keep the devs accountable when something bad is happening, like the characters being separated from the perks. But I also do think that we also need to give Tripwire their flowers whenever they've earned it. And in my personal opinion, based on everything we've seen from these trailers, from these changes, from all these dev diaries that they're doing, I am excited for the game, and I do think they deserve to be heavily credited for turning around and listening to everyone's feedback on the beta itself. You know, my personal opinion, the HUD looked dry, it looked bland, it looked like assets that were just placeholders. But now we actually have an identity to the game. I love the effects that they do with the specials now, how they show the ammo counter, kind of like in a sort of visor view where it kind of looks curvy. Little details like that is what I'm looking for in this game, and they're touching up a lot. They're adding grime, grit, you know, gore, everything, guts and gore to all these maps, adding it to the weapons, adding it to the characters. They're talking about adding more characters. You know, we already have leaks that DJ Scully's can be an added character, more playable perks once they separate the perks from the characters. But I do think Killing Floor 3 is cooking. I'm happy that they've turned this around so much. I can't wait for Killing Floor 3. This is definitely top on my wish list. Now, there is going to be a lot of competition with Killing Floor 3. There's a lot of games coming out. The Borderlands 4s, the Dying Light, the Beasts, stuff like that, where they might not share the same aesthetic as Killing Floor in terms of being a horde shooter, or genre in terms of being a horde shooter and everything like that. But as far as games go, I do think Killing Floor 3 is looking good. I think the other games this year are also looking really good. Game of the Year is going to be a tough competition. Can Killing Floor become Game of the Year? I'm not too sold on it yet. There's obviously Claire Obscure, there's obviously Kingdom Come 2, there's a lot of games that have released this year that are already heaters, Monster Hunter Wilds, games like those, but Killing Floor 3 is shaping up to be something special, and I hope they can just reinvigorate the horde fighting, or the horde shooter genre, you know? I'm so sick of the Call of Duties just ruining it, dragging the fucking horde shooter genre through the mud. I'm so sick of it. Did not enjoy my time playing Call of Duty Zombies for a long time. Even went back to play some of the old ones just to get horde shooter vibes. I'm really excited for Killing Floor 3, man. I've been riding on Killing Floor 3's dick since day one, and I'm happy it paid off. You know, we finally got a good game. It's shaping up to be great, and I was always right, you know? So feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to find out all things Killing Floor, as I'm going to be updating or doing a video update on every single trailer. I also do other content. I do a variety of stuff. By no means am I going to shill out for this game. If Killing Floor 3 does launch like Cyberpunk, oh boy, I'm going to be fucking dragging this game through the mud. But this game is cooking. I said it's just needed time to cook. And lo and behold, I was correct, and every other Killing Floor YouTuber was wrong. No shade, but yeah. Don't mean to flex too much, but I am enjoying everything I've seen from Killing Floor 3. And I've just been saying, man, this game's cooking. Just give it time. And a lot of people were heavy on Killing Floor 3 being one of the worst games this year. You know, that was a common thing. Modern slop. Just adding modern mechanics to a game that doesn't need it. I fully understand the people who want an old-style horde shooter like Killing Floor 1, where everything's managed by a HUD, the game looks very old, and the game has a very big horror vibe that you feel helpless because there's no sprinting, stuff like that. Fully understand it. Or at least you're not that fast in Killing Floor 1. I actually don't remember if you can sprint in that game. Killing Floor 2, you literally just have sprinting, and that's it. On the harder difficulties, enemies will run your ass down, and you can't avoid the damage, you know? Obviously, there's, like, tricks you can do, like shutting doors and stuff like that, but very limited movement in Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 3 has upped the ante. They've got a bunch of stuff, clambering, they've got dashes, you know, they've mixed in a lot of elements from great games, and I guess that's the modern slop that a lot of people are claiming it is, but I don't see it as modern slop. I just see it as a great game, taking aspects from other great games. So that's pretty much all I want to say. Made it all the way to the end of the video. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.